Hey everybody, Average Vintage Collector here with another video. So this week's video is going to be a little bit different for me. I tend to just try and do a real short, as little talking as possible, and then just jump into some cards and show my cards and try and keep it under 10 minutes. And I'm trying to do that in most of my videos. But today I'm probably going to go on just a little bit longer, and it's probably going to be a little bit different, a lot different than what I normally do. So there's been a lot of talk, a lot of videos out there about how to collect. Is it good to focus? Is it good to be broad? Is it good whatever? And we always say, I think we all agree, you collect whatever you want. You collect how you collect. Be you, collect what you like what Chris from Missouri says. Collect what you like. And with me, what that boils down to, I guess, is that what I like to collect is everything, and it's given me this really broad collection, and at times that can be really overwhelming. Like, how do you have Grail cards when you just focus not on anything? For example, I'm the king of rambling here, so you got to bear with me, okay? I don't do notes ahead of time. I just kind of talk from the heart, turn on the camera, talk from the heart, and away we go. Try and make it as real as possible, and just be me. So when I used to collect, we'll jump back into modern. I was just opening packs because I really enjoyed opening packs, and the thing that I got most joy out of was inserts. And inserts are, $1, $2, $5 inserts. Some inserts can be really expensive, really valuable. But I got so much joy in just getting these small little inserts out of them. But after a while, the modern hobby kind of got dull for me, and I got out of it, and I took a little break. And then when I got back into card collecting, I went the vintage route. Well, with the vintage route, I didn't know where to begin. So I just started, and I've said this story before, collecting a little bit of everything. Buying lots on card lots on eBay that were just random, full of randomness, and I enjoyed that. But it was just kind of starting a collection from scratch. I was trying to start a collection. I wanted a collection. I wanted lots of cards, so I was buying these lots. And I'll give an example here. One lot that I bought is this first page right here, 54. Right, these 54s right here. This was all one lot of cards that I bought on eBay, and you can see they're all in various types of condition, and those are really some of the only 54s I have. But I was just kind of doing whatever, just buying, stuff of players that I never even heard of, didn't know much about, and I just did it to do it. This Ray Jablonski, I'm going to show this real quick. One of my few 57s, but I bought it because it was $1 on eBay. And it's one of the only, it shares a page by itself. My only other 57, I think, is a Big Ted Kluszewski. So I think those are the only two 57s that I have. But there was no rhyme or reason. I was just buying. Little, piddly stuff. And eventually said, okay, I'm going to build a set. I'm going to build 1980. I'm going to build 1973. 1980 was my birth year. 1973, I've said it before, I really fell in love with that Roberto Clemente 73 Topps card. So that was one of the first cards that I bought, and I said, all right, I'm just going to concentrate on sets. And the reason that I did that, the reason that I did the focused on sets was because I could buy a whole bunch of cards for most of them pretty cheap, especially the 80 set. I mean, come on. What in the 80 set, I think I might have paid more than $5 for a handful of cards. Ricky Henderson, maybe the Ozzie Smith, and a couple of others. But other than that, you can put that set together. You could buy that whole set probably cheaper than what I spent to collect. But I enjoyed going into a store and going through the binders and just collecting here and there. I didn't want to just go out and buy this set. Now, I did do that with my 84 set. 84 set. I hate junk wax era term, but there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't call it that. That's the nostalgic era for me. That is the 80s and 90s, and I still love those cards. Still love those cards. Don't have a whole lot of meaning to other people, but I still come across those cards on eBay, and I'll go ahead and spend, $1.50 on a card that probably is only worth about 5 to 10 cents. But I like the card. It brings back a memory for me, and I bring it in, and I probably already have 2 or 3 of them, but they just add into my collection. I just enjoy doing it. Maybe I just enjoy spending money. I don't know. But it's my collection is very eclectic, and I did try to get some focus. So I went ahead and I said I'm going to do some player runs. After I decided I was going to do that the set building wasn't enough for me, I said I'm going to do some player runs because those sound cool. So I pick Duke Snyder, Brooks Robinson, Pee Wee Reese, Preacher Rowe, pick a whole bunch of people, and Gary Carter, Dale Murphy, and I start buying cards. I said I'm going to only get them graded because you watch videos. We talk about being influenced on here, right? It's been a big topic of conversation too. So I think when I first got in, I focused too much on people saying, "Oh, it's graded." I love graded this, graded that, and so I was like jumping on the bandwagon, trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy graded and make sure that they're, whatever." And what I found was that I was just, it wasn't. It was instead of just going on and finding a card and being like, "Ooh, this is a good card, I really like this." I'm like breaking it down and going, I don't know about this one. And, spending money why would I spend crazy money when my budget isn't very large to begin with? And doing these player runs is really just like putting me in a single lane. And I don't like being in that lane. So I was in that lane for a little bit and then said, I got to regroup here. I don't really like this. Just if I'm focusing on these player runs, I can't focus on anything else, and there's a lot of other cards that I want, but I don't necessarily want all the cards. And for example, Brooks Robinson, right? Yeah, I'd be really happy to get a few of his cards. I love the 60. His 60 is probably my favorite card of his, and I know the 57 everyone goes crazy over, and it's a big card on people's lists, especially that one. To me, it really does. It's not to me, and it's a very expensive card. But it's not that important to me where I would just go ahead and spend that kind of money. And especially like the 58. 58, I think, is one of the ugliest cards around. Just my opinion. All right, if I offend anybody, I'm really sorry. But I didn't want to go ahead and just try and complete a player run and get cards that I didn't even necessarily want in my collection. So I went away from that a little bit. And then I got into the Diamond Stars, right? Diamond Stars Hall of Famers. It's a set I'd really, not the whole set, just the Hall of Fame run in the Diamond Stars set. Now that one I'm still concentrating on, and I really think that that's my long-term plan. Is completing that Hall of Fame run in that set. I don't see myself really going away from that. But those cards, I add 1 or 2 a year. That's it. 1 or 2 a year, and that's it. Seriously, this is going to take me a pretty long time to complete that run. And I'm talking, I'm really happy with, 1s and 2s, and, grades these days don't really mean anything to me. My wife, for my birthday, and I do have a video coming up, so I'm not going to really give up too much, but she went ahead and got me something that, for my card collection that I'm really loving, and I'm working on a second part of it, so I don't want to give it away too soon. But the way that I display my cards now, this is just, I really like the presentation that a slab gives. And this is, let's not beat around the bush, right? She got me a whole bunch of Mag Pros. Okay, cat's out of the bag. But I'm working on some custom flips. And I really love the way that these cards look in that. And then you don't have to worry about the grade. And they still look the way that I want them to look. So this also helps with my budget and trying to accomplish what I'm trying to do, which is get a bunch of really nice cards, really cards that are important to me that I want in my collection. So focus, right? I'm not focusing right now. I'm all over the place. If you're still in for this ride, buckle up. It's about to get a lot more bumpy, and I apologize, but it's going to be, in the end, exciting. We talked about influence, right? As much as I got focused and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on the Diamond Stars. I'm going to make a list of my top 100 cards. I'm going to collect Battle of the Bulge guys. And again, that's another project that I don't think is going anywhere. I love the Battle of the Bulge collection that I'm putting together. I love the World War II veteran collection that I'm putting together. Those are very important to me. Military service, to me, you got, I'm a patriot, and I really, those guys sit a mile above everybody else in my book. Law enforcement officers, I'm just, that's just me. I haven't said it before, maybe, and I'll do it now. I don't really hide it. I don't get, there's not too many people in this hobby that know. I am a member of law enforcement community. Respect goes a long ways. I really, it's not an easy job, and I'm not looking for pity, and I'm not looking for whatever. But I'm being real. I'm being me, and I'm letting you guys in a little bit on, who I am. But those collections, the Battle of the Bulge, World War II veterans, that's not going anywhere. But we talk about being influenced in this hobby, and as soon as I seem to get focused, I watch a lot of videos, and I start to get influenced by people, and so then I start to go watch some other channels, and then I make that list, right? But then I buy something like this. That wasn't on my list. That wasn't on my list at all. But exhibit cards, watching Scott over at Stukes. Man, it's amazing. This is unbelievable stuff. It's a world I never dipped my foot into. I mean, Joe Gordon. I didn't know much about Joe Gordon until I joined the vintage community. I didn't know anything about Joe Gordon until I joined the vintage community. This community has really opened my eyes and really educated me. Come a long way since I first started, 3 years ago in the vintage world. Influence. We talk about pre-war. I'm not going to get into too much pre-war. And the exhibits is kind of pre-war, but stuff like this, right? Gaudi Premium. That's that pre-war pusher Aaron all day long over at Value Vintage Cards. Him and Jason, everyday card collector. And then I look at stuff like this. It's from John, Nerding Out with Cards, sends me some Redman cards, or sends me a Redman card. I love the Redman cards, but this was never really a project that I was looking to continue with. But I love these cards. It's so hard. It's so easy to get distracted. It's so hard to be focused for me. But is it a problem? I don't think it's a problem to not be focused. Not for me. It's been fun. It makes so many things out there so much more valuable. Shane, Shoebox Legends. How about some buybacks? And these, I didn't even know I had. Found these in my collection. That's the rediscovered tops. I had no idea that I even had these. I didn't even know what those were until I started watching Shane. We get influenced all the time. How about some non-baseball? How about some basketball, modern, with all the crazy shine, and I will admit, I was one of the first ones to say, the shiny stuff, in baseball doesn't really, who am I kidding? I love that stuff. Watch Brent Richards' channel. I mean, this shiny stuff's got me hook, line, and sinker. So just another aspect to it, there's another look. I mean, how can you not like a card that looks like that? It's just really cool stuff. My buddy Mark, I've mentioned him on the channel a couple of times. Give me some stuff. How about some old school basketball cards? I mean, I don't know anything about basketball. I know nothing about basketball, but how can you not like cards like this? Hockey. Hockey used to be, I used to live for hockey way back when, 90s through about 2006. I was a diehard Sabres fan, watched it every night, collected cards. Majority of my collection was hockey. Got out of it for a long period of time, but then a few years ago, start picking up on it again. Start following certain guys. This guy right here, Gabriel Landeskog. Awesome. Matt Tkachuk. I don't have a Matt Tkachuk card, but I do. It's on the way. I just got one for $1.50. That's my eBay purchase for the month. $1.50. Well, I wouldn't say for the month, but a small eBay purchase. That's where I live, right there. That's kind of where I live, and I start bringing in these cards. I'm very happy to have a Matt Tkachuk card in my collection. NASCAR. I'm a big NASCAR guy. I don't really talk too much about that. I love NASCAR. Trackhouse. Richard Childress Racing. Was a big Dale Earnhardt fan back in the day. Big Junior fan. How about some NASCAR cards, right? There's an Austin Dillon. Drives for RCR. How can you not like some of these cards? I mean, there's a Kevin Harvick. Guy's a legend. I didn't really cheer for him after he kind of left Richard Childress Racing, but it's fantastic stuff. I have no focus. My focus is to not be focused. And every time I seem to try and like rein it in and downsize, well, not downsize my collection. Nothing, my collection's never going to downsize. But I hear people talk about downsizing or, making, trying to get rid of cards to further go after some other, larger, more important stuff to them. And I cannot limit my collection. As many times I'm a list guy. I love making lists and kind of going through it. And it seems that every time that I do, it's kind of pointless because then I make a whole bunch of purchases and nothing comes off that list. And I don't want to be held to a list. I just want to see something, fall in love with it, and say, that's got to end up in my collection. So that's, like I said, I'm not really showing a lot of cards today. I'm going on a little longer than usual, and for those of you that stuck around to watch this, I really appreciate it. And I watched Darren and Greg the other day. Well, actually this morning, I watched the video. They're off topic, and I had planned to do this video, like this little bit of a different video, and that episode was awesome and really jump-started me to go ahead and put this one out there. You don't always have to show a lot of cards, I don't think. If you go ahead and, talk from the heart and just kind of can capture people's attention. Here I am fading off. This isn't scripted in case anyone hasn't figured that one out yet. But, it's just something a little new. I will get back to doing my regular videos. I don't have a ton of cards. As much as I say I do buy a bunch, but, nickel and dime type stuff. I'm going to eventually do a video a week and run out of cards to show. So this is kind of something that a new lane that I'm kind of taking to see how people respond to it, and if you don't watch it, you don't watch it. If it's not up your alley, it's not up your alley, and I don't blame you for that. It's I'm not the most exciting guy to listen to. I know it. I know my voice kind of drones on, but I really hope that those of you that did watch really do enjoy it, and that this video kind of made sense. But is focus a good thing or a bad thing? For me, my focus is to focus on having a broad collection, and that's what it boils down to. So. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for bearing with me while this train wreck kind of slowly made its way down the track. And I'll catch you guys on another episode.